name is Monique St. Paul, and we have our producer, Lisa Crockett, also my co-host.
Hello.
But more importantly, we're going to focus on the Michael Merline, our guest for today. He is an instructional designer at Citizens Bank, as well as a voiceover actor. We brought him to speak to you today just to understand his intersection is really to work with the variety and dry content. So he works in compliance and really just get an intersection for that and understanding how do you make that entertaining, as well as some thoughts on adding sound to your learning. So Michael, I'm going to actually let you introduce yourself. We met each other at an ATD, but I've had the pleasure of speaking to you several times, and you've become a friend and definitely a mentor, sharing lots to know. So I'm excited for you to talk to the TLDC community. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Monique, and thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone, for being here. The first work day of a short week. I know these types of days can be grueling, and you have to catch up with things you miss, but I really appreciate it. I'm Michael Merline. I have been in training for over 20 years. I started off as a technical writer, then evolved into instructional design as I received my master's degree in instructional design at UMass Boston and started my career path for instructional design along that way after that. And at Citizens Bank currently, before my path started there, I did work in radio and a little bit in TV on the back end side of it, doing editing of audio and video. I never forgot that experience. That knowledge never left me. And that's what I do as part of my job as an instructional designer. Personally, I live in Foxboro, Massachusetts. Go Pats. I don't live too far from the stadium. I grew up south of Boston on the South Shore in Hanover. I'm one of four. I'm the youngest of four. And the reason why I'm like this, I want to show my father's painting of the Coast Guard ship that he was in when he was stationed in Boston. And his knowledge and memory and the way he was as a parent and a father and a friend always stays with me when I see this. And that's his painting. He painted that among other paintings during his early life. And so I have this, in back of me as a memory of him and as a catalyst and motivation to always keep progressing and learning. And I'll switch back to the center view here. Sorry to throw everyone off like that, but just want to show you how important that is for me on an everyday basis.
That's actually an awesome story. Thank you for sharing that with us, Michael. Do you paint? Well, I'm curious now.
I paint a good picture with words and knowledge and narration and working with different subject matter experts and coworkers. That's my artistic way of painting things that I create and things that I do.
Interesting. Okay. And I would ask, so as an instructional designer, that can mean anything to anyone on this call. Does that mean for you? What does that mean for you at Citizens Bank? What do you do? Just, course development? Do you do needs analysis? Do you do editing on the background for sound? What is it that you do at Citizens Bank?
I do many things, and it all depends on the situation, the project, the team that asks me to come in with them, who have other skills, and they like, Michael, we need you for this, or another team will like, Michael, we need you for this. So I'm always shifting from project to project and knowledge to knowledge. I could lend myself to needs assessments. I could lend myself to editing. I could lend myself to course development. It's a variety of projects that determine what my influence is and capability is. And that's always good because it keeps everyone on pace with the project and also helps other people learn from other people on the project.
Gotcha. So instead of being a jack of all trades, I'm going to call you a Michael of all trades. What is your favorite part of being a designer? So you like the variety, but if you got to choose one that you could do for most of your day, what part would it be?
It would be developing, because that brings it all together. You have scripts, you have visuals, you have technology, you have an audience that you're developing for. You have them in mind when you're developing. So everything I told you that I'm pulled onto a team with pulls itself into development.
Excellent. And then, so the question for you, I know you like music quite a bit, and you like to incorporate that into your courses. Can you talk a little bit about, one, what type of courses do you build? Is it in person? Is it e-learning? And then also, how do you incorporate sound into that?
It's 99% e-learning, and there's always music going on in my mind when I'm developing. I'm listening to it constantly, whether I'm listening to it on my phone, online, on TV, or even in my head. And when I see something that's in the course that's related to a song, or even just music that without lyrics, I will do my best to implement that into the course or even into live training, a virtual training session.
Yeah. And do you ever feel like, because music, depending on what generation you're in, some people really just listen to what's popular now, that you might find some of your audience may not connect with it, or do you think you're so good at choosing that they just like what's there?
I really value the input of the audience. And if it's a live virtual training, the first session will be a meet and greet, getting to know you. How are you? I am this person. I am that person. I will send a chat question for them to answer live. What kind of music do you like? And sometimes I'm surprised by age groups that will say, tell me a musician or band that I wouldn't think that age group would like. And I'll take the majority of the music that they like, and I'll put it into the virtual training, or even the course that they will access on a learning management system.
And we have a question here in the chat, and I want to make sure to answer for Kim.
Yep.
Are most of your courses for employees, and is there anything that is customer facing that you do?
Yes. Most of them are for employees. Very rarely do we have customer facing training, but I believe that's another department. But most of the training we do is for employees only.
And just to piggyback on that, is that mostly compliance, or what else are you doing for them? What type
Yep.
of, I'm assuming regulatory because you're working in finance. So,
Right. 95% is compliance, but the other 5% is strays away from that. New employee onboarding training, which is all video based and online based. If there's something that's of urgency in the company that the message needs to get out very quickly, we'll go on to that project just as an informational training rather than knowledge-based training. And we have the resources on our team to put it together fairly quickly and fairly efficiently.
gotcha. And I would say, how do you make compliance training entertaining? So you talked a little bit about the music. I don't know what system you're using to build your e-learning courses, but are you using animations? What things are you incorporating to help make it something that I imagine is yearly, if not more often than that?
Compliance courses lend itself to looking at other banks and other news about banking. And if we see something that's related to the specific compliance course that's in the news or from another bank or from an industry, we'll find a video about that information and put it at the top of the course. So when the first thing a learner will do is hear a realistic viewpoint of an instance in another bank or from an
Oop, I think you're.
industries they're in the course, see how important that topic is.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's interesting. It also gives you a chance for them to do a little bit of research while they're learning about their own information. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. You
Sure.
talked about being in radio before. So, how do you feel that background has influenced what you're doing and learning?
Uh, Most of the time in the background of being in radio, it's about being creative, about being knowledgeable, and about being flexible to switch from one topic to another or one song to another, or to be knowledgeable about music or anything else happening in the music industry, even the radio industry. And that was learned at an early age, and it just transferred to instructional design and course development to be flexible, to be knowledgeable, and to be creative in as an instructional designer.
Hmm. And what would you encourage people to know, like in terms of like cutting sound and being able to know when to flow it in so it doesn't sound like an abrupt, cut off and then the next thing starts? Or what would you recommend to people to either
Yep,
use or to get rid of sort of background noise, things like that?
yep. I can give a simple technique to progressively introduce the music and to end the music. It's a simple option on most audio editing software is the fade in and fade out option to slowly bring up the volume to a full level of the music and then fade it out.
Mhm.
The noise canceling and those options are all available on many audio editing software, and it's just a matter of getting the balance right of canceling the noise but not canceling the audio, not just music but even if it's a speaker, to focus on the speaker if it's someone talking about something, and not to drown their natural speaking voice tone out with noise canceling.
Gotcha. And what system or software do you use to work on sound?
We use a few software programs, Camtasia from TechSmith and Power Director from Cyberlink. Those are the two main software files or types that we use. Um, Power Director is a little bit more complex than Camtasia. If we need to edit something complex, we'll use Power Director. If it's something straightforward from point A to point B, we'll use Camtasia.
Excellent. So when you're not doing this for work, you do it on the side. So tell us about your voice acting. What have you done it for? Do you change your voice at all? Or what do you do?
There's some people who are good voice actors. Their voice can go up and down. It can even go this way. It can even go out of the world to sound like a totally different person or character. My voice and my brain doesn't lend itself to that. So I consider it straight voice narration.
Mhm.
And what people like about my voice narration style is the inflections that I use for different words, the emphasis that I use for different words to keep the attention of the viewer or the listener.
Yeah. And what about speed? So I'm very comfortable listening to the way that you speak. I'm a very fast speaker. I'm intentionally trying to slow myself down. What would you think is a typical speed that someone has to like focus on to make sure that most people are hearing what you're saying?
I slow my voice down when I'm recording, but then I do it at other speeds. I think the speaking voice that I'm using right now is a little too fast. So I will slow it down to put an emphasis on different words, just so it's clear, but not too many spaces between words.
Mm-hmm.
And then I record it slowly, middle range, and then fast, and try to listen and see which one is the best out of all of them. And the great thing about technology and software and editing and deleting and hard drive space, you can do it a thousand times differently and pick the best one.
Do you say you could do it 1,000 times? Do you ever get into how many times do you actually do it if you're against a deadline? You saying 5 times you do it at certain speeds and then listen to it?
I
What do you?
usually do it maybe 2 or 3 times at maximum.
Okay, that's not too bad. That's not terrible. And sort of a question about flow. Anytime you're working, whether that's in audio or doing for instructional design, what is your process to get there? Like, what gets you into the state of mind?
I have to say that once a project starts
Mhm.
and I have an idea of what the end goal might be or needs to be, I tap into my coworkers as sounding boards to say, hey, I have this situation. What do you think? What do you think the best approach is? And that gets me started. But then after that, I do an official needs analysis, and maybe what we're brainstorming might not be what comes out after the needs analysis. It might be different, but that brainstorming gets my thought process going and evolving, and then attack the needs assessment right after that.
Gotcha. And then you mentioned earlier playlists. Do you have a playlist that you listen to when you're working to keep you focused, or are you just you sit down and you start working, cranking it out?
I had to take a pause there for that question. There's actually like a playlist in my head, actually.
Okay.
Some people might think that's like, oh, his head is talking to him, his brain is no, but that's how it works. There's a playlist in my head. Then if I
Mm,
really want to hear that song, rather than not singing it to myself, but singing it in my head, I'll go to the actual song and I'll say yes, or even say no. Let's try another song. So that's how I approach that.
gotcha. I have to say, my neighbors must hate me. I listen to the same music over and over again, so they know exactly when I am in a state of flow. But you worked from home way before the pandemic. What would you say works best for you in terms of working at home?
It's getting up early in the morning, preparing my workspace area, getting a nice hot cup of tea. I'm a tea drinker.
Excellent.
Uh, Looking out at the view that I have, which is a great view of the woods, which inspires me, and just starting working from there.
Okay, so you're an early morning person. Me and Lisa are as well, often shooting emails off at 6:30. But you tell me something new every time we talk to each other. In the last year, what is something that you've discovered that you really appreciated learning and think, oh my God, my life would be different if I didn't have this now or I didn't know about it?
Oh boy. I think the connection to people, either talking on the phone or when the it's available to meet them in person, talking about different topics, not even just work topics, but you know, things that are going on in life, maybe some struggles that my friends and family might be having. We'll talk about that. So that's what I missed a lot, and I tried to replace that by online uh, video chats with friends and family, or a phone, or even a message. Good morning, how are you? So that's what I missed during the pandemic, and I'm out there in full force now, making up for that.
That's good. That's good. Can you so how do you conduct design sessions? You talked a little bit about asking people ahead of time like what their music is. What else do you do to sort of get to what you're going to be creating for learning?
I like to do rough drafts, and I may do two or three rough drafts, and I'll run them by um, not just the same people I brainstorm with, but other people to get their perspective and different perspectives. So I do two to three rough drafts, and I do it directly in the authoringware. And I also look for ideas that already exist. And ideas that already exist and doesn't even have to be in the training industry. Ideas could exist from advertising, marketing, um, everyday websites and social media that I look at and get inspired that way for my design.
Excellent. And then, is there something that people would be surprised to know about you that you do? It doesn't have to be about work, but would somebody be surprised about Michael does that? Like, it...
Well, actually, when I sent this information out to my friends and family, they responded back like, "I didn't know you did voice narration." So they were like completely surprised. Like I would, we would spend time, you know, go out to for a meal, go to a restaurant, go to a concert, and we talk about other things. And they were like so totally surprised, like, "Oh my gosh, Michael, tell me more." And I'm more than happy to tell more about this part of my profession to anyone who's interested.
Certainly. Lisa, if you don't mind dropping his LinkedIn there, I certainly would say if you haven't met Michael yet, please reach out to him. He's an awesome, awesome man.
Oh, thank you so
I've
much,
enjoyed
Monique.
getting to learn about you. I have one other question. We're going to switch over to a speed round for Lisa, but that is every job needs to show proof of effectiveness. How do you show that your compliance courses, people are actually learning it and not
Mm.
just checking off the boxes?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Once my current manager joined us close to 8 years ago, one of her first initiatives was to get data and show data and prove that data amongst people who really weren't using a lot of data to show completion of compliance courses and satisfaction. So
Mhm.
we built a really big set of data from different types of software to tell a story about our compliance courses more than satisfaction, dissatisfaction, or number of people who completed, number of people who didn't complete. So we show a really big set of data to the executive committee during when she gives a quarterly summary of compliance training department.
Right. And what kind of points of data do you think are important when showing that it's not just they've completed the courses or they liked it? You don't have to obviously get too far into it,
Right.
but one or two points that they might be focused on.
One of the main goals those many years ago was to reduce the hours of training for employees, but still have them assigned different courses. And we were able to reduce the number of hours down, but still have the same number of courses assigned to the coworkers. And we did that by reducing the length of a course and also uh, doing an assessment of the courses that were too long and possibly decided that this course has been assigned for 5 or 6 years. Let's move on to a different course similar to that, but not exactly like that. And let's have that course have a shorter amount of time for completion.
Good. That's excellent. And micro learning at its finest, I think, and also just making sure people are getting something that they didn't see before, even if it's just
Exactly.
slight.
Yep,
I'm going to
exactly.
pass it off to Lisa. She's going to ask you a couple more questions. They're a little bit shorter, off of the work stuff for now. A little bit more about you, Lisa. What you got?
Thank you.
So what do I got? So Michael, we call this the speed round, and I just love this round so much. I really do. What's the last book you read?
Okay.
Quick answers.
Tipping Point by
Don't think
Malcolm
too hard.
Gladwell.
Oh, awesome book. I love that book. Okay, what last movie you read? Last movie.
Knives Out this past Saturday night.
Oh, that is guys. That is a phenomenal movie.
I got it on
Netflix?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon.
And it was all filmed in
Such
Massachusetts.
a good movie.
And there will be a Knives Out 2
Really?
next year and a Knives Out 3 coming out.
That's awesome.
Right.
The movie is so funny, guys. Like, totally, you have to see it. It's surprisingly hysterical. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, now, so your favorite form of entertainment?
Live
You mentioned
concerts.
music before.
2 or 3 a week.
Oh yes.
Wow.
What was your 2 or 3 a week? Dang, I'm lucky if I can get 2 or 3 a year. What was the last concert you went to?
In Boston at a club called City Winery. A solo musician. Her name is Lady Lamb, and she grew up in Maine.
Ooh.
Very introspective singer and beautiful at the same time.
Love it. How about your first concert?
Tears for Fears. And they have a new album coming out this year. Their new single came out last week. Very underrated, but very good songwriting and lyrics and presentation. And I thought you never knew you'd get additional information with these questions.
I actually really like it.
I love this. Totally loving it. Hey, Monique, just, off the cuff, what was your first live concert?
I want to say probably In Sync when I was in high school. I'm going to guess. I have no idea.
Nice. Awesome. Let's see. What else do I have for you? Oh, who do you fanboy, Michael?
Gosh. I think by my silence, I don't fanboy many men. You can ask me who I fangirl. I can definitely tell you that.
Who do you fangirl?
Fergie.
Oh, yeah.
Lead singer of No Doubt, Gwen Stefani. Jennifer Garner. And lots of other lead singers of bands.
You grew up you were a teen in the 80s, weren't you? You and I have too much in common here.
Late teen.
I'm with you there. Okay, here's my favorite question while we have all of 2 minutes left. If we were to ask your partner, spouse, best friend, what you do for a living, how accurately do you think they could answer us?
Not accurately enough, because when I'm with my family and friends, we talk about so many other topics, about our family, about our lives, about our experiences with everything we do outside of work, and even 85% of it is humor.
Humor's what makes it go round.
Yep.
I think we got to wrap it up, Monique. Did I miss anything before we close our session?
No, but I feel like, Michael, if I ever have a trivia team, I want you on it.
Thank you.
You know a little bit of everything.
I have a favorite quote to share if I can.
Please do.
By all means do.
And I just sent it to everyone. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. And I take that from our parents, all 4 of us, going to further education after high school, and even going even further than that with masters and doctorates and other professional education. That's very special to me, and I'm sure it's very special to many people on the Crowdcast.
I really appreciate just you talking about the connection with your coworkers. Obviously, your family is very important to you, and sort of the inspiration of the painting behind you, the woods in front of you. It seems that's just part of who you are. Learning is just always there, and it's fantastic that you were able to take the time today to speak with us. I'm very happy to be able to share you with others. So again, if you haven't met Michael, please hit him up on LinkedIn. He's fantastic to talk to. We talked about a wealth of topics today. I think thank you for listening. Our next guest on October 26th is going to be Nicole Thomas, who is a coach, author, and L&D leader. So it's going to be the same time still, right? Am I right there, Lisa?
Actually, we're going to be 4 o'clock that afternoon.
We're going to be a little bit later, so 4
We're going to be
o'clock for
serving
her.
the Pacific Coast this time.
But Michael, thank you for being here today. Lisa, thank you for producing.
Thank you,
Everyone
guys.
who showed up today. We appreciate it and hope to talk to you all soon. Have a
Have a great
you.
rest of your day.
Thank you, Monique and Lisa, and thank you, everyone. It was a sheer pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
Michael.
one.
I'm going to hit you up soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.